A long time ago, there was a gentleman who was very wealthy. He had many fine houses in both the city and the country. All his dishes were gold or silver, and all his rooms were covered in silk. His carriage was even covered with gold. Unfortunately, all the people were frightened of him because he had a blue beard. They thought he was ugly, and none of the ladies wanted anything to do with him because of his blue beard. There was one lady of high rank who lived nearby who had two beautiful daughters. One day, Bluebeard decided to go to this lady and ask for one of the daughters' hand in marriage. The decision was up to her of which one it should be. Both the daughters said over and over they would never marry Bluebeard. But to appear civil, the reason they would not marry him, they said, was because each thought the other sister would be a better match and deserved the opportunity first. In reality, neither sister could bear the thought of having a husband with a blue beard. And besides, they had heard stories of Bluebeard being married before several times, but no one knows what happened to his wives. Because Bluebeard very much wished for one of the daughters to become his wife, he decided to ask the lady, her daughters, and several other ladies who were visiting to go with him to one of his houses in the country. They spent the whole week there having parties for various reasons and sometimes just because. No one ever thought to even go to bed that week, and the nights were passed in merrymaking of all kinds. Because they were having so much fun, the youngest of the sisters began to think that the beard which she had been so afraid of was not so bad after all, and that anyone with so much wealth could not be very bad. Soon after returning home, the youngest daughter went to her mother and said she no longer disliked Bluebeard and that she wished to marry him. Not long after, they were wed. About a month after the wedding, Bluebeard came to his wife and said he needed to leave town to visit one of his other estates to take care of some business. He wished her to remain there and indulge herself in anything she desired. He also wanted her to invite as many friends as she wanted to have parties, just to pass the time. Here are the keys to two large wardrobes. This is the key to the great box that contains the best plates for company, and this one to my strong box, which has all my money, and this one to the casket, which contains all my fine jewels. Finally, this is the master key, which will unlock all the rooms. But whatever you do, do not use the smallest key. It belongs to the closet at the end of the great hall on the ground floor. You may use any key, go in any room of your choice at any time, but do not open the closet for any reason. If you do not obey me in this one thing, there will be the worst punishment for you upon my return. She promised to obey, and Bluebeard kissed her tenderly and stepped into his coach and drove away. No sooner had Bluebeard left, her friends started arriving, not waiting to be invited, because they wanted to see all the riches she had gained by marrying, because none of them dared come to the wedding because of their dislike of Bluebeard. As soon as they arrived, they ran from room to room, wardrobe to wardrobe, closet to closet, looking in wonder at the riches she had acquired. Finally, they came to the drawing room, where to their surprise it was even grander than the other rooms. Through all the commotion of her friends, she kept thinking about the closet she was told never to go in. She was trying to figure out how to leave her friends without being rude so she could take a look at this forbidden closet. Finally, she was able to slip away from her friends unnoticed. In a hurry, she ran down the hallway, taking 2, sometimes 3 steps at a time. Lucky for her, she did not trip over her own gown and fall and break her neck. When she reached the doorway to the closet, she stopped, thinking about the order her husband gave, and that if she had failed to follow his order, she would receive great punishment. Brushing aside her thoughts, her curiosity got the best of her. She took the smallest key in her trembling hand and placed it in the keyhole. The door immediately flung open, but the room was dark. All the shutters were closed, and at first she could see nothing. After a few minutes, her eyes adjusted, and she saw on the floor something that looked like blood, and several feet away were the bodies of several dead women. This must have been what happened to Bluebeard's wives. He killed them one right after the other, she thought to herself. Now, very frightened and trembling more, she dropped the key to the floor in the blood. She quickly picked up the key and closed and locked the door. She ran straight back to her room, not wanting to be around her friends anymore. When she got back to her room, she looked at the tiny key, finding blood on it. She tried in vain to wipe it off. Every time she would wipe one side clean of the blood, it would appear on the other side. She tried to wash it and even tried to sand the blood off, but still, nothing worked. That same evening, Bluebeard returned home, telling her he did not have to go to his country estate, and that he was met by a horseman to tell him the matter had been settled. The wife greeted him with so much joy and happiness at his early arrival as she could pretend. The next morning he asked for his keys back. The wife gave him all the keys, all but the smallest one she had hidden on her dressing table. "How is it the key to the closet on the ground floor is not here?" Bluebeard asked. "Is it not? I must have left that on my dressing table," the wife replied in a shaking voice. "Be sure to give it to me by the end of the day." The wife went to her dressing table, pretending to search for the key. After a while of searching, she was forced to hand it over. Looking at it hard, he said, "How did blood come to be on this key?" I do not know," the wife responded, turning white in fear. "You do not know?" said Bluebeard sternly. "I know. You have been to the closet on the ground floor. Very well, madam. Since you like the closet so much, you will take your place among the ladies there." The wife, almost dead with fear, fell to her knees and begged for forgiveness. Any man would have forgiven such a sorrowful, lovely wife, but not Bluebeard. No, you shall die right now," he said. If I must die, please give me a little time, just to say my prayers," the wife pleaded. "I will give you a half of a quarter of an hour and not a minute longer," Bluebeard replied, and he left her to her prayers. After Bluebeard left, the wife called to her sister and told her the whole story. She pleaded to her sister to go to the tower to check to see if the brothers were coming, for they were supposed to visit that day. Her sister ran to the tower to do as her sister pleaded. Every minute, the wife would call up to her sister and ask if she sees them yet. The sister replied the same. "I see nothing but the sun, which makes dust, and grass, which is green." Meanwhile, Bluebeard, still angry and ready to carry out the punishment, called out to his wife, "Come down here at once, or I will fetch you." "One moment longer, please," she replied, and then, calling to her sister in the tower, she got the same response back. Again, Bluebeard called out, demanding her to come down, and again she pleaded for one more minute, and then went calling to her sister yet again, with the same response. A third time, Bluebeard called to his wife, and again she pleaded for a moment longer, calling to her sister, but this time she got a different response from the sister. "Do you see them coming, sister?" cried the wife. "I see a cloud of dust, a little to the left," replied the sister. "Do you think it's the brothers?" said the wife. "No, dear sister, it's only a flock of sheep," answered the sister. Bluebeard called yet again, "Will you come down, madam?" "Only one more minute, please," the wife said, calling to her sister one more time. "Do you see them coming?" "I see 2 men on horseback coming, but they're still far out," replied the sister. "Thank God," cried the wife. "They are the brothers. Have them hurry." Bluebeard called out so loud this time for her to come down, the whole house shook. The wife came down to face him with her hair down, crying, begging to be spared. "This is no use. You shall die," he said, grabbing her by the hair and raising his sword. He swung and struck her neck, cutting her head off with one blow. Just then, the brothers came charging into the house, and the other sister came running down the stairs. They all stopped and stared in disbelief at their sister's head lying on the floor in a puddle of blood. "What happened to our sister?" demanded the brothers. The other sister stepped up to them and said that their sister was evil and she went crazy. "She even tried to kill me for no reason," she cried. "Bluebeard saved me." The brothers, not sure if they believed what they were hearing, but they had no proof, they decided to go ahead and believe the older sister, and they all walked into the drawing room. "I did it," the older sister thought to herself. "Now I must get Bluebeard to marry me, and I will be the richest woman around. I do have to make sure to get rid of that hideous man as quickly as possible." The next day, Bluebeard, desperate for a wife, married the older sister. And that night, she slipped poison into his wine. He never awoke. The widowed wife left the house, taking all of Bluebeard's belongings. Leaving behind the bodies, she ran away, never to be seen again.